Thank you. My name is Aniceto Bagley. I like to emphasize that's my middle name because that is my original name. I'm from Carles, Iloilo, and my father was Enrico Ilanga, who was the former mayor of the town. And this leads to the next segment of my small talk here. My first association with the Second World War was on the 8th of December. I say the 8th of December because it was the 8th of December in the Philippines when the 7th of December occurred in Hawaii. And we went to school on that Monday morning and we got the news. Not everybody had radios in pre-war Philippines. We got the news at school that war had started, Pearl Harbor and bombed. And so we all went home and we said, well, what's happened? What happens next? Anyhow, soon after that, we evacuated to my hometown of Carles. And after the surrender of Bataan and Corregidor, we still had an organization on Panay. This was on the island of Panay. We already had our guerrilla organization set up, and my father was appointed the local representative of the guerrilla intelligence movement on the island. And he was ordered to set up a Coast Watch station. And I call this Coast Watch before that became a popular term, because we weren't coast watching. We were watching the coast, and ships went by, we reported them. And so he got me into the group along with about a dozen other guys. And whenever ships would come by, somebody had to report to Balasan, which was 13 kilometers away, and the nearest telephone and make the report. Well, this was kind of a waste of time because by the time you got to Balasan, the ships would be long gone, of course. And so we ended up making reports at the end of the day, make consolidated report. Now at this time I was about 15 years old, and actually I was a civilian employee of the intelligence platoon or whatever we call ourselves. And soon after that there was a big penetration, and so we had to disband, and we kind of laid low for a long time, and I don't think it was ever revived. But before we disbanded, orders came down that we had to burn the town. The guerrilla movement wanted us to keep everything away from the Japanese, to destroy everything that they might use. So we had to burn the town. And I remember that my father was sitting there. We burned down the school, and he was crying about that because that was his legacy. I mean, when he was mayor, he built a school, and so that was one of the hardest things that we did, was burn down the town. Anyhow, there was quite a while that we didn't do any activities. I was busy doing other things, like taking care of the family that raised me, the Bagleys, but that's another story, and I can tell about that here. In the meantime, a guerrilla signal corps outfit established a signal post, or communications post on the island of Calagnan, which was outside, which was off coast of the island of Panay. And it just happened that the CEO of this friend's bank had been a friend of ours during one pre-war days on the island of Negros, and he knew that we were on the island of Panay, and so he said, why don't you come over here and we'll take care of you. And I go back to the American couple that take care of me. I took them up to Fritz Camp, and we stayed there and I joined the Signal Corps. So again, I was a civilian employee of the guerrilla movement in the Signal Corps 10, and I was assigned to duty in the country as we used a double transposition system, which was all done by hand. This went on for quite a while until this was in December of '43 when we moved up to this guerrilla camp. And in '44, of course, was the landing on Lady. Fred sent a group over to Lady. We were guerrillas. We went over to Lady, reported in, and we received some supplies. We got uniforms, rifles, money, and a few other things, and we sailed back to our.
Did you have money?
Oh yeah, they gave us some money. The only problem was that the money they gave us was not. They call it Sir. Oh.
Welcome money.
Yeah, it had victory on it. Yeah, the victory money was the money that the American troops brought in. But the money they gave us, because we were still in occupied territory, did not have the victory thing on it. And when we got back, where some people didn't accept it, wouldn't accept it because it wasn't the victory money. But anyhow, I made 3 trips over there, and my family got evacuated from Lady, the Bagleys, yeah. They got evacuated, and so I wasn't able to go with them, however, because I was not a citizen, not a U.S. citizen, and I was still in the guerrillas. Anyhow, guerrillas disbanded, and I decided to stay on with the Philippine Army. I was assigned to the 52nd Infantry Division, a regiment rather, and we did mafia operations on Brunei. In the meantime, the Japanese had moved out of Iloilo and were up in the hills, and so we established headquarters at the base of the mountains, and we weren't very successful, however, in our mafia operations. The Japanese finally decided that they would surrender to the Americans, which they did. And by this time, I was gone. I was over in Lady. I left for Lady for a Signal Corps school. Then the Philippine Army was disbanded in 45 and 46. They were disbanding the Philippine Army. Not disbanding, but demobilizing the Philippine Army. Well, I was in the Philippine Army, of course. My first sergeant, about 14 years in the service, and they were recruiting Philippine Scouts at the time. This was in 1945 and 46. So in 46, my first sergeant decided that he was going to join the Philippine Scouts, and I said, "But you're going to lose. You're going to lose on your time." He says, "That's all right. I'd rather be a private in the Philippine Scouts than first sergeant in the Philippine Army." And I was a PFC at the time. So I said, "Doggone it, if this guy is the first sergeant, if he's willing to take the chance as a private in the Philippine Scouts, as a PFC, I can do that too." So I joined the Philippine Scouts, and this was in March of 1946. And I stayed in the U.S. Army until 1976. And retired with 30 years of the CW4. And that's my story.